Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome back to the main men's Jalsa here just before the beginning of the third session of this, the 46th Jalsa Salana of the United Kingdom. And it's the second day, it's Saturday. Eagerly anticipating Huzur's Khitab this afternoon. Traditionally, on the third session on the Saturday afternoon, we have short speeches from guests of the Jamaat, so local dignitaries, politicians, friends of the Jamaat, those who know us, those who speak highly of us. We invite them to come and they make short speeches. Amir Sahib will introduce them, and Amir Sahib, I think, is almost ready now to introduce the guests and to invite them to come to the stage to come and speak. And always interesting to hear the views of the guests from outside the Jamaat.
आइए अब नाज़रीन किराम, अब तीसरे इजलास का आगाज़ होने वाला है. आइए शुरू करते हैं.
Assalamu alaikum. We will start the proceeding with recitation of the Holy Qur'an, and I request Hafiz Mashood to come and recite a portion of the Holy Qur'an, please.
Assalamu alaikum. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إذا جاء نصر الله والفتح ورأيت الناس يدخلون في دين الله أفواجا فسبح بحمد ربك واستغفره إنه كان توابا.
We have invited our special respected guests who come and share their thoughts with us and say a few words. And I'm very honored that again this afternoon we have a number of guests who will be speaking during this session. Some of them are based in the United Kingdom and others are based in other countries of the world. So it is my pleasure to invite our first speaker. Shahbaz Ahmed Sahib is the Deputy Mayor for Ealing. Shahbaz Sahib is the Councillor for North Greenford and also was appointed the Deputy Mayor of Ealing. He's a very close friend of the Jamaat, and therefore it is a great honor for me and a pleasure for me to welcome him and ask him to come and say a few words.
Thank you. Dear brothers and sisters, respected elders, Assalamu alaikum. It is a great honor and a privilege for me to represent my borough, London Borough of Ealing, as a Deputy Mayor, and I welcome you all. I know I'm the first speaker, and I've got a lot of speakers to come, but I just want to say just one thing, that since my association with the Jamaat and coming to the Jalsa Salana, what I have observed, this is the true example of what the real humanity is. the Jamaat, the basis, the humanity first, love for all and hatred for none. And you will see, I'm sure, during this Jalsa Salana, and every member of the Jamaat is presenting what is love for all and hatred for none. And this is the basis of the Islamic teaching, that you have to be tolerant, patient, and you have to serve the mankind what is the teaching of Islam's are. So basically, on these notes, I would like to welcome to the all members of the Jamaat and all the Khuddam particularly. Now this is the prime example of the service. The moment you enter the Jalsa Salana, you will be welcomed with a smile, and every member of the community and the Khuddam, every member, they will serve you with the best of their ability on the basis of all, the love for all and hatred for none. So thank you very much for giving me opportunity to say, and I welcome once again to everybody in the Jalsa Salana. Thank you.
Nare Takbir! Ghulam Ahmed ki! Islam Ahmadiyyat! Deputy Mayor Shahbaz Ahmed!
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is representing a very old friend, Baroness Emma Nicholson. Emma is a British politician, and she was the Liberal Democrat Member of Parliament and is now a life peer, and a former Liberal member of the European Parliament for South East England. Lady Nicholson became a member of the European Parliament in 1999, joining the Committee on Foreign Affairs, which she was the Vice President from 2004 to 2007. She was President of the Delegation for Relations with Iraq and President of the Committee on Women's Rights of the European Mediterranean Parliamentary Assembly. She is also a member of the Ahmadiyya Group, APPG, the all-party parliamentary group. Unfortunately, she could not be with us today, but she has requested Dominic Gould to come and say a few words on her behalf.
Thank you very much. Baroness Nicholson has asked me to convey to you her most sincere regret that she cannot be here in person today herself due to a long-standing overseas engagement. In her absence, she has asked me to tell you that she is here with you in spirit and has requested that I read out on her behalf the following statement of her support for the Ahmadiyya Muslim community. Your Holiness, distinguished guests, delegates, friends, ladies and gentlemen, I am immensely honoured to be invited to address you today on the occasion of the 2012 Jalsa Salana. It is extraordinary and wonderful to think that this is the 46th year in which an annual convention has been held in the United Kingdom, a fact which bears witness to the admirable strength and steadfastness of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community here. As we all know so well, and as so many people across the UK have discovered during these years, the Ahmadiyya Muslim community sets an exceptional example of leadership in the wider local community across the country, an example which I believe is particularly important in these times of economic hardship. For these reasons and many more, I address you today in part in a spirit of celebration. While we celebrate the Ahmadiyya Muslim community's outstanding success and good work here, we also know only too well that the most appalling persecution and outright violence continues to be experienced by Ahmadiyya Muslims elsewhere in the world. We are also not unaware that threats and intimidation have been experienced by Ahmadi Muslims here in the UK in recent months. I urge that as a tolerant and multicultural society committed to recognizing and sustaining the fundamental freedoms, including the freedom of religion, we do not tolerate such affronts to the basic human rights of members of the Ahmadi Muslim community, whether at home or abroad. I believe that my personal commitment to ensuring the upholding of the fundamental freedoms and basic human rights in various parts of the globe, including the Muslim world, is well known. I also have the utmost respect for the inspiring humility and patient, peaceful resolve with which the global Ahmadiyya community conducts itself, despite being under such constant duress. Let me be clear in saying that I regard the persecution of the international Ahmadi Muslim community as utterly unacceptable and morally repugnant, and that I reaffirm my willingness to do whatever I can, as a politician and as an individual, to help. Once again, I thank you for allowing me the opportunity to express my support, and I offer you my best wishes for the success of this annual convention and for the many more annual conventions which will undoubtedly follow in the years to come. Thank you.
Nare Takbir! Mr. Dominic Gould, Baroness Emma Nicholson.
There's just an announcement. There's a child called Aman Yusuf Hussain, aim number 34328, who is lost, and he's on the side of the stage on my left. Whoever's the guardian, please come and collect him.
Our next speaker this afternoon is another friend of the community, Councillor Sean Brennan. Was a former deputy headmaster and was a Sutton councillor since 1988 and also mayor in 1990. He's the former leader of Sutton Council, and for many years Sutton is the borough neighbouring Battlefatu, and I would like to welcome Mayor Brennan to our Jalsa Salana and request him to come and say a few words.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum to the Ahmadiyya community here and throughout the world. And could I thank you for your invitation to be part of your celebrations this year. This is my first visit. But could I also congratulate you on your 46th convention, an absolutely marvelous milestone. As has been mentioned, I am a near neighbour of your mosque in Morden, and two of my colleagues on the council are also, to my fellow councillors, are members of your community. So I am aware of the marvellous work that you do, not just in London and in the United Kingdom, but now throughout the world, having had my tour earlier today. I want to draw particular attention to the Peace Symposium that you are now holding every year. And obviously this is the inspiration of His Holiness, and it is now a fixed date in the calendar, and every year is becoming more influential. Your message of love for all and hatred for none could not be more timely and not be more appropriate. Every day when we open our newspapers or turn on the television and listen to the news, we are only too aware of the conflicts and wars that is happening throughout the world, particularly on the African continent and in other places as well. Every day, hundreds of people are losing their lives. And your message of peace, your message of love, love for everyone, love your neighbour, love your brothers and sisters, and respect for all. What a wonderful world it would be if we all followed your teaching. It would transform and change the world. All the great religions do mention love, lack of hatred and respect and concern for our neighbour. Unfortunately, communities are made up of human beings, and all too often we fail. We hear the message, but we fail to put it into practice. So I do want you to continue with your work throughout the world, and maybe someday the world will listen and it will be a better place. it will be a place of peace, which we all long for, both individually and in every country and in every community. Hopefully that will be soon. So I wish you success in your work and continue the marvelous work that you are doing everywhere, which is continuing to grow. Your communities are growing and your message is continuing to be preached as well. So thank you very much for listening to me.
Takbir! Councillor Sean Brennan.
Our next respected speaker is also a very good friend of the community. Councillor Pritam Gariwal is the Mayor of Hounslow. Councillor Gariwal has been a councillor since 2002 and has held several cabinet roles in the borough of Hounslow. As I mentioned, he's a very close friend of the Jamaat and a supporter, and I would like to welcome him to our Jalsa Salana and request him to come and say a few words.
Thank you very much. Your Holiness, Mr. President, fellow mayors, MPs, fellow councillors, distinguished guests, and members of Ahmadiyya community. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for inviting me. It is a great honor to be here with you today to celebrate the 46th annual Jalsa Salana, which brings together people in the spirit of unity and brotherhood. I'm delighted to see so many friends from the Ahmadiyya Muslim community here from London Borough of Hounslow, who have worked within the community for a number of years. I was extremely impressed when I recently attended a Friends of Faith tour of different religious venues within the borough, culminating at the newly built Baitul Wahid Mosque in Hanworth. I found this to be a wonderfully peaceful venue, and I can honestly say that technology there is very impressive, as we were able to hear and visualize the Qur'an in at least 37 different languages. And I've been told by the President today that they have reached 70 now, are they aiming to do in 100 languages. This shows that the Ahmadiyya communities are openly reaching out to the wider population. Mr. Khan, I hope he's listening from Hounslow. I'm always grateful to you for your kindness and your hospitality. I am in admiration of the invaluable work that has been undertaken by the Ahmadiyya community, both locally and nationally, and your tireless work for the cause of peace. The Ahmadiyya community shows how it lives and its faith, thus enriching our society, our country, and our world. I applaud your ethos for love for all, hatred for none, inspired by your beliefs and demonstrated by your actions. May I wish the convention continued peace and friendship. Once again, thank you very much for inviting me. It's a great pleasure to be part of the celebration today. Thank you for listening to me.
Councillor Pritam Gariwal.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker actually has traveled a long distance to be with us this afternoon from Kazakhstan. Mr. Vladimir Ivanov is a long-term friend of the Jamaat. He has been working for the mayor of Almaty city, chief inspector for the relations with religious organizations, and I'd like him to come and say a few words. He will address us in Russian, and we will have a translation in Urdu afterwards.
Ваше Святейшество, многоуважаемый господин Хузур, уважаемые гости, дорогие друзья, ассаламу алейкум. Позвольте мне лично поздравить вас с очередным знаменательным событием – 46-й Jalsa Salana, которая собрала всех здесь присутствующих в Хадикат-уль-Махди. Находясь здесь, каждый приходит к убеждению, что подлинной религии присуща толерантность, что лозунг Ахмадие «любовь ко всем, ненависть ни к кому» истинно справедлив и имеет универсальный характер. Как вам, возможно, известно, в Казахстане этим летом состоялся съезд лидеров мировых и традиционных религий. Он прошел под знаком толерантности и примирения. Все его участники поддержали высокие идеи добра и мира, присущие всем истинно верующим людям. Были приняты соответствующие документы и резолюции. Они встретили поддержку со стороны многих мировых организаций, государственных, общественных и культурных деятелей. Это еще раз нас приводит к пониманию того, что религия в своей основе толерантна и несет истины добра всем людям. Любовь ко всем, ненависть ни к кому. Вечные слова. Об этом свидетельствует ниспосланный Коран. Также об этом свидетельствуют и ваши молитвы, ваши добрые дела. Позвольте выразить благодарность и восхищение за организацию этой 46-й Jalsa Salana, ее высокий международный уровень. Еще раз поздравляю его святейшество, всех присутствующих и желаю вам успешной работы.
Thank you very much. Now I'd request Khalid Ahmed Saib, in charge of the Russian desk, to come and translate, please.
السلام علیکم. ہمارے معزز مہمان ولادیمیر ایوانوف صاحب قزاقستان سے جو آئے ہیں، انہوں نے اپنے مختصر خطاب میں کہا ہے: قابل صد احترام حضور اور پیارے دوستو، میں آپ صاحب کی خدمت میں حدیقت المہدی میں منعقد ہونے والے 46ویں جلسہ سالانہ کے اس پرمسرت موقع پر مبارکباد پیش کرتا ہوں۔ اس جلسہ میں شرکت سے ہر ایک انسان کو اس بات پر یقین کامل حاصل ہو جاتا ہے کہ سچے مذہب کی ایک بہت بڑی خوبی اور نشانی اس کی رواداری، بھلائی اور وسعت حوصلہ کی تعلیم ہے، اور اس سلسلہ میں محبت سب کے لیے، نفرت کسی سے نہیں کا موٹو انصاف پر مبنی اور عالمی اہمیت کا حامل ہے۔ آپ کے علم میں ہوگا کہ اس سال گرمیوں میں قزاقستان میں دنیا کے مختلف مذاہب اور اس علاقے کے مسلمان علماء کی ایک میٹنگ ہوئی تھی۔ اس کانفرنس کا مقصد بھی رواداری اور ہم آہنگی کی فضا پیدا کرنا تھا۔ اس کانفرنس میں شامل تمام علماء نے اس بات کی بھرپور حمایت کی کہ ہر مذہب کے پیروکار کو امن اور بھلائی کو اپنانا چاہیے۔ اس سلسلے میں مختلف ڈاکومنٹس بھی تیار کیے گئے اور ایک ریزولوشن بھی پاس کیا گیا۔ اسی طرح مختلف عالمی تنظیموں اور اہم حکومتی، ثقافتی اور علاقائی شخصیات نے بھی ان اقدامات کو بہت سراہا۔ ان اقدامات سے یہ بات واضح ہو جاتی ہے کہ مذہب بنیادی طور پر رواداری اور تمام انسانیت سے ہمیشہ حقیقی بھلائی کرنے کا حکم دیتا ہے۔ اس بات پر قرآن کریم کافی گواہ ہے۔ اس کے ساتھ ساتھ جماعت کے افراد کی دعائیں اور جماعت احمدیہ کے بھلائی پر مبنی تمام کام اسی بات کی تصدیق کرتے ہیں۔ اس موقع پر اس 46ویں جلسہ سالانہ کی انتظامیہ کا بہت شکر گزار ہوں، جنہوں نے اس جلسہ کے لیے عالمی معیار کے اعلیٰ انتظامات کیے ہیں۔ آخر میں ایک مرتبہ پھر حضور اور تمام شاملین جلسہ کی خدمت میں مبارکباد پیش کرتا ہوں اور دعا کرتا ہوں کہ خدا آپ سب کو بھلائی کے کاموں میں ہمیشہ کامیابی عطا فرمائے۔
تکبیر! Mr. Vladimir Ivanov.
Jazakallah. Our next respected guest is from Sierra Leone, Professor Abu Sise. He is the Vice Chancellor and the Principal of Jala University. He did his Master's and PhD in crop physiology and received an award as a distinguished foreign scholar. He has worked in various universities to include University of Nottingham in the United Kingdom and University of Swaziland and the University of Botswana. I would like to welcome him to our Jalsa Salana and request him to come and say a few words.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Mr. Chairman, brothers and sisters in Ahmadiyya, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. I will first of all want to explain that I am just an ordinary member of the Ahmadiyya Jamaat in Sierra Leone. And that is why I am absolutely humbled by the honor and privilege that I have been accorded to address this gathering on behalf of the delegation from Sierra Leone. Mr. Chairman, on behalf of the Sierra Leone delegation, I am to let you know that we bring very warm greetings from our sisters and brothers in Sierra Leone. We also bring their best wishes for a successful Jalsa Salana. Mr. Chairman, the promised Messiah, alayhi salam, started Jamaat Ahmadiyya in 1889. 48 years later, that is in 1937, the first Ahmadiyya missionary arrived in Sierra Leone. And ever since, the Ahmadiyya mission has been making significant contributions to the development of our nation, especially in the area of education and health. The mission established the first primary school, Muslim primary school in Sierra Leone in 1938. Today, the mission has 193 primary schools, 59 secondary schools, over 800 mosques, a radio station, and so on, not to mention the activities of the NGO Humanity First. This year, by the grace of Allah, we held our 50th annual conference. These significant contributions and achievements have continued to elevate the Ahmadiyya mission in Sierra Leone to increasingly higher levels of prominence and strength. These contributions and achievements have also gone a long way in endearing the mission to the governments of Sierra Leone, regardless of which party or political party that is in power. The former president, Dr. Tijan Kabar, a Muslim, used to attend our annual conferences. The current president, Dr. Anes Bai Kuruma, a Christian, attended the last two conferences, and each time with a host of cabinet ministers. Mr. Chairman, we are grateful to be the guests of your UK Jamaat, and through them to be the guests of the promised Messiah, alayhi salam. We have benefited immensely from your hospitality. We pray that all of us shall continue to strive until the last moments of our lives for the propagation of Islam and Ahmadiyya. Ameen. Assalamu alaikum.
Narae Takbir! Jamaat Ahmadiyya Sierra Leone!
Our next respected guest comes from Nigeria. Chief Adetunji Federeo is a senior advocate in Nigeria. He is an ex-president of the Nigerian Bar Association. He is a friend of the Jamaat and a neighbor to our central mosque in Laro. I would like to welcome him to our Jalsa Salana and request him to come and say a few words.
Your Holiness, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure and I feel highly honored to be invited to this conference. This is my first conference. And when the missioner for Ilaro invited me, my first reaction was to tell him that this is an Ahmadiyya conference. I am a Christian, and he was quick to tell me that this is a conference for everybody. I now see that it's a conference for all religious disciplines and all religious faiths. This conference has not only educated me further, it has been very instructive, and I'm happy I came here. The Ahmadiyya mission has been in Nigeria for quite a while, and there have been some ups and downs. There have been splinter groups here and there, but I didn't quite get to know the details until I came to this conference. It is not unusual when a person or group of persons gather themselves together to propagate humanity, truth, justice, to encounter persecutions, tribulations, but at the end of the day, God has a way of making their ideals stick, and that, I would say, is the Lord of the Ahmadiyya mission. During the inaugural speech of His Holiness, he talked about a spiritual revolution. I believe that a spiritual revolution is the only thing that can save the world as it is now. A world that is full of violence, turbulence, corruption, man seeing humanity to man, can only be saved by a religious revolution. A religious revolution is not the job of Ahmadiyya mission alone. It's the job of all of us. Let us all join whatever our creed, whatever our religious inclinations, join this revolution, this spiritual revolution. And let our slogan be love for all and hatred for none. And it's very simple. Let us start it from our homes, our offices, in the streets, individually and collectively. If we can achieve 20% of it, I am sure that the world will be a better place for generations unborn who are still coming to live. But if we leave it undone, it will spell disaster for those who are coming behind us. May God not allow that to happen. I will take this opportunity to say thank you to the organizers. I'm really impressed by the organization. For those of us who are visitors and guests, the care you've taken of us. And I can assure you that on getting back home, the Ahmadiyya movement, the Ahmadiyya mission in my area can be sure of my continued support and willingness at all times to come to their assistance whenever it is needed. Thank you.
Nare Takbir! Jamaat Ahmadiyya Nigeria!
Our next respected speaker is from the United Kingdom. Mr. Arjun Vakaria, JP, is the president of the Hindu Forum of Britain, a representative body of the Hindu in the United Kingdom, and has previously been appointed on the 13 Faith Advisory Board for the government. Arjun has acted as a sounding board to advise on effective engagements with faith communities. I'm very pleased to welcome him to our Jalsa Salana this afternoon and would request him to say a few words.
Thank you. Your Holiness, President, trustees, distinguished guests, and the Ahmadiyya Jamaat. Assalamu alaikum. I bring warm greetings and heartiest congratulations to the Jamaat on the 46th Jalsa Salana. This Jalsa, I find, is very inclusive, and I can see many faiths are represented here, which is very important for us living in Britain over here, fully integrated and understanding each other's faiths. And very importantly, what I find very touching is that the Ahmadiyya Jamaat has adopted a beautiful slogan which says love for all and hatred for none. To live in harmony and peace, this is very relevant and appropriate with these difficulties we are facing around the world. So once again, I congratulate everyone here on this Jalsa Salana and thank the President for inviting us to be part of this celebration. Thank you.
नारे तकबीर जमात अहमदिया UK.
Our next respected speaker is from Turkey. Professor Hasan Onat is from the University of Ankara. He is associated with the Department of Theology and heads the subject area of Islamic sects. He is the author of many books, and I would like to invite him to our Jalsa Salana and request him to come and say a few words. He will be addressing us in Turkish, and we will have that translated in Urdu subsequently.
Esselamu Aleyküm. Böylesi güzel bir toplantıya, Jalsa Salana'ya bizleri misafir olarak davet ettiğiniz için hepinize çok teşekkür ediyorum. Saygılarımı sunuyorum. Yüce Allah Kur'an'da diyor ki, aklını kullanmayanlar pislik içinde kalır. Sevgili Peygamberimiz Hazreti Muhammed de diyor ki, men la akle fela dinele. Dolayısıyla burada bizim Müslümanların, 1,5 milyar Müslümanın en temel problemi akıl problemidir. Yüce Allah akla destek için vahiy göndermiştir. Aklını kullananlar bilginin gücüne sahip olur, bilginin gücüne sahip olanlar uygarlık ve değer yaratabilirler. Bugün Müslümanların geleceği bilginin gücüne sahip olmalarına bağlıdır. Bu konudaki en güzel örneklerden birisi Nobel ödüllü Profesör Doktor Abdüsselam'dır. Bunu hatırlamakta fayda vardır. Allah akla destek olsun diye vahiy göndermiştir. Biz aklı yeniden keşfedersek, 14 asırlık Müslümanların birikimini eleştirel yaklaşımla doğru anlayabilirsek, tüm insanlığın muhtaç olduğu yeni bir uygarlığı Müslümanlar olarak yaratabiliriz. Esselamu Aleyküm.
नारे तकबीर तुर्की.
I would request Jalal Shamil Sahib to come and translate, please.
अस्सलामु अलैकुम वरहमतुल्लाहि वबरकातुहू। प्रोफेसर साहब ने सबसे पहले तो शुक्रिया अदा किया कि आपका मैं शुक्रिया अदा करता हूँ, आपने इस खूबसूरत जलसा में शमूलियत की, मुझे और मेरे साथियों को दावत दी। उसके बाद वो फरमाते हैं कि अल्लाह ताला ने कुरान करीम में ये बयान फरमाया है और नबी करीम सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम के इरशादात भी हैं कि जो लोग अपनी अक्ल को इस्तेमाल नहीं करते वो हमेशा अंधेरों में भटकते रहते हैं। इस ज़माना में मुसलमानों के लिए तरक्की करने का सिर्फ़ एक ही ज़रिया है और वो ये है कि वो अक्ल और सोच विचार से काम लें और अपने इल्म में इजाफ़ा करें। और उसकी बेहतरीन और हसीन मिसाल जो है वो मुकर्रम प्रोफेसर डॉक्टर अब्दुल साहब ने कायम की है, जिन्होंने अपने अक्ल को इस्तेमाल करते हुए अपने इल्म के ज़रिए से नोबेल प्राइज़ हासिल करने में वो कामयाब हुए। तो मुसलमानों का इस्तकबाल, उनका आने वाला जो ज़माना है, अगर उन्होंने तरक्की करनी है तो उनको अक्ल को इस्तेमाल करना चाहिए और इल्म में इजाफ़ा करना चाहिए। इसके अलावा उनके लिए और कोई तरक्की करने का कोई ज़रिया नहीं है। उनको चाहिए कि डॉक्टर साहब के नमूने पर अमल करें और अपनी अक्ल और सोच विचार के ज़रिए से अपने इल्म में इजाफ़ा करें। सिर्फ़ इसी ज़रिए से वो तरक्की कर सकते हैं।
Our next respected speaker is from Hungary. His brightness, Naja Janusz, is the spiritual leader of the Church of Eternal Life and the president of the Confederation of Small Churches in Hungary. He's a close friend of the Ahmadiyya community, and I would like to welcome him and request him to say a few words.
Assalamu alaikum. Sok szeretettel köszöntöm Mirza Masroor Ahmad Kalifát, az Ahmadiyya iszlám vezetőjét és vezetőségét, a Jalsa Salana minden résztvevőjét. Azért jöttem Magyarországról, hogy átadjam a Magyarországi Kisegyházak Szövetségének üdvözletét, és az általam vezetett, de január 1-től üldözött Ankeregyház üdvözletét. Az általam képviselt szervezetek egyetértenek az ahmediyya iszlám hirdetésével, a vallási toleranciáról és elmondatával. Szeress mindenkit, ne gyűlölj senkit. Úgy véljük, ha mindenki a tanítások szerint élne és cselekedne, jobb lenne a világ. Azt kívánom, hogy a magyarországi vallások ismét toleránsak legyenek, és az ahmediyya iszlám is teljes jogú elismert vallási szervezetek egyikévé váljon. A meghívás eredetileg kettőnknek szólt, de ő felsége Kozmelli herceg, a máltai lovagrend nagymestere és a lovagi állam vezetője egészségi okok miatt nem tudott eljönni. Megkért engem, hogy tolmácsoljam üdvözletét és jó kívánságát ő szentségének a kalifának és minden ahmadiyya hívőnek. A lovagi állam és a lovagrend alapvető értéke a vallási tolerancia. Úgy tartjuk, hogy az ember tettei minősítik. Helytelen az embereket bőrük színe, kora, neme, egészségállapota vagy vallási hovatartozása alapján megkülönböztetni. Köszönöm, hogy meghallgattak, sukria!
Could I request Munim Sahib to please translate?
مکرم ناز جانوش صاحب نے کہا ہے جناب حضرت خلیفۃ المسیح حضرت مرزا مسرور احمد احمدیہ مسلم جماعت کے عالمی سربراہ، جماعت کے سرکردہ منتظمین اور احباب جماعت کو میری طرف سے پرخلوص اور محبت بھرا سلام پیش ہے۔ میں اقلیتوں کی تنظیم کے نمائندہ کے طور پر ہنگری سے صرف اس جلسہ میں شامل ہونے اور اپنے نیک جذبات کا اظہار کرنے کے لیے آیا ہوں۔ ہمارے مذہب کو بھی ایذا رسانی کا سامنا ہے۔ ہمارا مذہب احمدیہ ماٹو محبت سب سے، نفرت کسی سے نہیں سے مکمل طور پر اتفاق کرتا ہے۔ ہم یقین رکھتے ہیں کہ اگر سب لوگ اس ماٹو پر عمل کرنے لگیں تو یہ دنیا امن کا گہوارہ بن جائے، اور خواہش رکھتے ہیں کہ اسلام احمدیت ہنگری میں بھی مضبوط بنیادوں پر قائم ہو۔ یہ دعوت اصل میں دو شخصیات کے لیے تھی، یعنی میرے علاوہ گرینڈ ماسٹر سورین آرڈر آف سینٹ جان آف یروشلم، نائٹس آف مالٹا، فیڈریشن آف آٹونومس پریوریز بھی مدعو تھے، مگر وہ اپنی بیماری کی وجہ سے تشریف نہ لا سکے۔ میں ان کی طرف سے بھی حضرت خلیفۃ المسیح اور احباب جماعت کے لیے نیک جذبات کا اظہار کرتا ہوں۔ آرڈر آف مالٹا کے منشور میں مذہبی آزادی کو بنیادی حیثیت حاصل ہے۔ ہم یقین رکھتے ہیں کہ آدمی اپنے کاموں سے پہچانا جاتا ہے، نہ کہ اپنی قوم، رنگ، نسل اور عقیدہ سے۔ آخر میں دوبارہ اس دعوت پر سب کا تہہ دل سے مشکور ہوں۔